Hello, everyone, and welcome to 5 Easy Steps to Kick Off a Revit Project. I'm your host, David Gear. A little bit about myself. I have 28 years in the AEC industry. I've worked at various positions in architecture, engineer, and construction firms here in Arkansas. I have primarily focused on commercial, government, healthcare, detention facilities, entertainment centers. I specialize in Revit, Navisworks, AutoCAD, and CTC tools, just to name a few. So what I'd like to do this morning is just go over our agenda. And so our main objective is to take these 5 steps used for planning and the different tools and be able to make our project startup easier and more efficient. We're going to cover some topics on view templates and sheet standards. We're also going to talk about how you leverage the Hive platform for our project templates, how we can pre-position linked models and how we can quickly swap them out, and how we can kind of QA QC using a type swapper to kind of really clean up and make sure our items are good to go. So with that, I've actually got a few questions I'm going to be asking throughout this presentation. And the first one here is, what is your current process for starting a Revit project? Are you using a default Revit template? Are you saving an old Revit project as a new one? Do you have a company template? Are your templates project-based? Are you using CTC tools to utilize this, or using Imaginate tools? I'll give everyone a minute here to answer that. I know we've got about 36 people on, or 37 people on the chat, or excuse me, in the webinar today. Seeing a good present. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share those results with everyone. And so it looks like the majority of everybody has a company template, followed by some project-based templates, or excuse me, followed by just the default Revit template, and then third, looking at project-based templates. So that's good information to know, and definitely going to help, go there. That definitely having that company template is the way to go. So when you're establishing that company template, step one, we got to decide what standards we're going to use. What is our standard wall styles? What ceiling styles? What's the view templates that we have set up? Are there any sheet standards? For my MEP guys, this isn't just architectural. For my MEP guys, what systems do you have kind of pre-set up that are not out of the box? What are the different line styles, line patterns? Also, what preloaded families do you or do you not have? So with that, I'm going to ask another question of the group, which is, how many wall styles or view templates, duct systems, etc., do you have in your preloaded template? And really, I wanted to do more of an open text for here, but Zoom would not allow me to put those in there. That's why I had to do this number range in here. All right. Looks like the majority of everyone's kind of answered, so I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. And it looks like the majority of you guys are keeping your templates lean and mean, which that would be my suggestion as well. It kind of goes either way. You've got both sides of the coin, but my preference is, like the majority of you, the lean and mean type templates. So with that in mind, our step number 2 is we need to develop it and we need to come up with the standards, right? So my suggestion would be having a started project. And when I mean started project, I'm not talking about a RVT or excuse me, an RTE, right? Not a Revit template, but a RVT, where you have your preloaded work sets, preloaded styles, door families, wall families, whatever it may be. Let's go ahead and get those kind of things preloaded and set up so that we're taking advantage of this. And the reason why we want to do this is we want to leverage this through our Hive management content so that we have that central repository for our team to go get to. So step 3, once we get everything put out on Hive, we got everything we need to teach our team this workflow, right? And so some of the things I've seen are company standards manuals, whether it's a PDF or it's a, give me just a minute and I'll answer that question for you, Tina. So company standards manual, whether it's a PDF, it's a hard copy, pre-recorded videos, globally training, or an outside vendor like ATG that can come in and teach your staff the steps that are needed to use your company standard. So Tina, I'm going to go ahead and answer your question live. And so what is Hive? Hive is a content management system that is cloud-based, but it also ties to the host machine, whether it be a server or computer. And so that allows you to push out your Revit files, whether it be a Revit RVT, a Revit family, wall styles, ceiling styles. It allows you to place all this content. And not only is it just Revit content, it can be Word documents, it can be PDFs, it can be Excel files. So it's a repository, and it allows you to come in and have that central one true source of information. I'm hoping that answered your question. All right. And speaking of questions, I'm going to turn around and ask a question myself, and I'm hoping this will be the last question I ask as far as polling. I think that's what I have is only 3. So I'm going to launch this poll and ask, how are you training your designers or your team on the workflow that you've got currently established? And I'm seeing at least a couple of Okay, yes. So Richard, I see your thing in the chat. And as we get into the demonstration, you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. All the above. Gotcha. All right. I like how everybody's in the chat. I'm open to it. So, all right. Looks like everybody's kind of got there. So it looks like everybody uses a company standards manual of some shape, form, or fashion, whether it's a PDF or a hard copy, which is great. It's always great to have that hard copy, but definitely, and I'm hoping that all the above and multiple ones too. I don't know if that was the polling question you guys and gals were responding to or something else, but hopefully you are taking a multitude of approaches for the different types of learners you have. All right. So step 4, we're going to take this new project template, we're going to push it to Hive. Then we're going to use the different tools we have available to come in and really quickly flush out this project. And then last but not least, we want to leverage our tools. We can either replace links the easy way or the hard way. And what do I mean by that? Do I mean we go insert, manage links, and go pick each one? Or do I mean we use the import and link manager and go in and replace and check what work sets they're on and make sure they're pinned or different multitude of things. So with that said, I'm going to move over to the software, and I'm hoping that this may show some of the answers to the questions that you had in the chat. So what I've got here is I've got Hive open, and I just pushed out to get Revit open here. I have my sample project right now. I have a few levels and a few views and a few schedules and a few sheets. What I want to do first and foremost is kind of prep this a little bit more, is I want to take in, yes, I know, I want to save you here in a minute. I want to take in some placeholder link files in here that I'm going to set up so that I have available to me when I push this out to Hive for storage. So I definitely maybe want an arch, a structure, and a mechanical, right? You see I have all these other placeholders that are just there for me to work with. Now that I have those set up, those links at least set up, I'm going to go in and save my project. So in this template was just a file that already had work sets, work sharing enabled. And now I'm going to go in and replace my file so that I can have it out on Hive. And I'm going to go ahead and close out of the project. I'm going to come over to my Hive. So this is that content management software that's out on the web. Because my team has multiple users on here, we create multiple libraries. You could just have one folder that has everything, or you can subdivide it how we've had it. A lot of this you'll see OOTB is out of the box content. So I'm going to come over here to my 5 easy steps. Right now it's empty. And I have to have Revit open when I do this process. So I'm going to hit add content. I'm going to come over here to my libraries and make sure that it's placing it in the library I want. And if there's any tag associated, so I can quickly search my database here. Get down here. Let's see, I want to assign that it has a tag of a template. I'm going to go add that file that I just saved earlier. Now that I have that, I'm going to process it, and it's going to push that content up to the cloud. And then you'll see Revit kind of open up a little bit. It's actually opening the file and pushing it out to the cloud. So now that I have that out to the cloud, I'm going to close out of everything and come back into Hive and come back into Revit. I'm going to come into my library, and I should see in my library here my starter project. And I'm just giving Revit a chance to finish firing up before I go a little bit further into this. All right, now that I got Revit fired up, so what I want my end users to do is in Hive, I want them to double click. And there's a reason why I want them to double click, because Hive is going to ask a series of questions. Now, the very first time you do this, it takes a minute for it to pop open this Open Revit project file. And it's saying, hey, what do you want to do? Well, I want to detach it from the central and preserve the work sets. The other options are really meant for your BIM managers. So I'm going to go ahead and hit open, and it's going to come open that project for me that has all my kind of template settings that we have preset and those preloaded link files. Revit, just as always, is that, hey, I don't know where these links are. I'm going to ignore it for now because I'm not ready to quite get there yet. I haven't received those consultants files just yet. So first and foremost, before I go anywhere, I'm going to go save as. I could go save it as a project on my server, or I could go save this out on the BIM Collaborate Pro, which is the new name, or how most of us all affectionately call it BIM 360, right? I'm going to do this on my computer. That way I'm not having to take up a lot of invaluable time. And I see there's a question. Give me just a second and let me at least place this on my computer. Okay, gotcha. So let me answer that question live, Tina. So no, Hive is and BIM 360 are not similar in nature. They are two different animals. And I do appreciate the questions, by the way. Makes this webinar a whole lot more entertaining for everyone on here. So now that I've got my project, I've got it open, I've saved my architecture, I can come in here, you know, edit what it's going to be. Whatever the project number may be. And I've got my information set, right? Now what I want to do is go in and start creating the different sheets that I need, the different views that I need, the things that I need, because we agreed that we want to kind of keep things lean and mean in our template, right? The more we have, the bigger things are and the slower things are, right? So with that, I'm going to go to my CTC tools here, and I'm going to go to my spreadsheet link. And you go, why spreadsheet link? Well, if I come in here and I go through all the categories I have here, I can come down and find the sheets elements. I can pull that over in for items that I want to be able to push out to an Excel spreadsheet. At a minimum, I want to at least know the sheet number and name, but I also may want this sort order so that it puts things in the perspective that I want them, not only in my project browser, but in my sheet index, right? And so now that I've got that, I'm going to save this as my sheet list. Yes, replace it. Yes, go ahead and open it up in Excel. Now I'm going to go ahead and close out of the spreadsheet link, and I'm going to pull this over here. One thing I keep forgetting to do, and I can always do it here, is I can go to the review tab and unprotect this sheet. The secret password is password, all lowercase, and it unprotects that. Now, I can come in here and clear this data out. I don't know if you're, I'm not a big Revit, or excuse me, I'm not a big Excel programmer, but if you can at least do that right there, you've got this programmed ready for you to come in and do all of your sheets. So for me, I have gone in, so you are not watching me type tremendously. I've already gone in and grabbed and done all the sheets that I want for this particular project. The other thing here is I need to make sure that that new parameter is going all the way down to my last sheet. In here, I want to make sure that I set my view sort to those elements. All I have to do now is save that Excel sheet. I'm going to come back to my project, right? I only have a cover sheet and a couple schedules, right? Cover sheet, couple schedules. So if I come back to my spreadsheet link and I go open that Excel cell file, right? I can then tell it to apply this active worksheet to the project. Well, because it knows, Revit knows, hey, you're creating sheets. You might want a title block on here. Well, let me go choose the title block. Well, it's also saying, do you want to apply this to the remaining elements? Don't be like me and not check that and start having to go through whatever, 30, 40 something sheets that I've got to do. And I forgot to take one of my items out. So bear with me for just a second. Oh, it was the cover sheet. Let me take that one out and do this again. So yes, we're not perfect. If you have something that's already in there, it's gonna, balk on you there. But I've easily created all those sheets with the title block, right? So now what I want to do is I want to come in and set up the rest of the project, right? So I could go in and I could go duplicate, or I could come in and do, arch levels and start placing levels. Or I can come in and use a tool that I really love using, which is the View Creator. That View Creator tool allows me to sorry, Troy, you distracted me. I looked at the shiny here, so hold on just a second. So your question is can you create the sheets and can you have a view added? Unfortunately, with this tool, no, I don't know of that, but that's definitely a kind of a wish list item, because right now I don't have any views that I really want in there. But after I create these views here, if we went through a different step process where we did the views first and then want to create the sheets second, I don't see why we couldn't request CTC to add that as a future wish list item. So matter of fact, I'm going to put that down and take a note on that. All right. So I'm going to come over in here to the levels. Correct. So you see a tab called View Templates. That is, so that View Template is the actually where you're going to set, what do your elements look like, and you're going to control that. And we're actually going to get into that. So definitely, Pauline, thank you for asking that question. And I see another one in the chat. Where do we get the View Creator software? You can get it through, depending on where you are. If you're in the United States, you can get it through ATG USA. If you are through Canada, I believe it is SolidCAD. I'm hoping that answered your question, Richard. Thank you, Nathan, for putting that link in there. I guess I need to start having those in my future webinars. So as I was going through here, so to quickly get through these levels here, I've already got an Excel spreadsheet set up because I don't think you came here to watch me set up a bunch of levels, right? So I am going to come in. And I will say that I've actually asked for this as well, is there's a way to do batch sheets in the View Creator, but there's not a way to do batch levels in the View Creator. And I've actually asked for that feature to be placed in. Don't know if or when that will get there, but hey, we can always ask. They can always tell us no, right? And again, thank you for placing those links in there, Nathan. I really appreciate that. You are helping me out tremendously. So now I've got these in here. I'm going to come in here and quickly add the heights in here. And yes, by default, anytime if you start adding the different heights, it will start truncating the different elements unless I tell it to sort by name. Bear with me. I know this is a longer process than I would like, but I really didn't want to do the other method that I'm probably going to show on the 28th, coming from a structural engineer's perspective. I'm kind of coming from an architectural perspective on this particular webinar. Yes, I know you're not going to have, know what your elevations are going to be straight and foremost. So, okay, we haven't replaced the links out. Oh, you're not seeing them in the chat, Richard? All right, so let me see if I can. Okay. Let's see here if I can. And
hey, David, this is Nathan. There are two icons, one for Q&A and one for chat, and the links were posted in the chat.
okay, I went ahead and posted those links in the answers to Richard as well. So hopefully he's got those in. And what I'll try to do is see if I can post those elsewhere as well. So I'm hoping everybody can get to those. And thank you again, Nathan, for speaking up. I'm glad I made you a participant there. Now that I've got these levels set, I'm going to go ahead and create them. It's just going to say one has been updated. You can't really see that anything has happened over here yet because I don't have any floor plan views associated with them. So all I got to do now is I come over here to the plan and ceiling tab, and I can say, hey, go check everything. I don't really need a floor plan view for the datum view here. And so you were asking about the view templates. So I can assign a view template ahead of time or no view template. And what phase of construction do I want? I can either choose to have an abbreviation or not have an abbreviation. And when I go ahead and hit add here, so you can see I have everything that has an existing has that dash existing behind it, and everything that has new has all those. I'm going to remove all those real quick because I really don't have any existing in here. I'm going to do this all as new construction, and I'm going to create those views. So now if I go to our elevation view here, we should see that it has all those, and there's a floor plan view associated with it. Quick, easy. Once I get the levels set up, it's kind of down and dirty at that point. So I'm going to come back here to the view creator for just a minute, because I also said that we could come in and assign the view templates upon things, right? So here's where that view template is. And so all I have to do is, depending on which ones I have associated with here, so I want at least the first floor. I don't really want those mechanical rooms, but I can pull those over to the floor plan general. And then maybe I want these other ones under some enlarged plans. So I'm going to go ahead and apply those changes. And what it's done is that if I go to that particular view, you will see in the properties of that view that it applied the view template. So what that does is if I go to visibility graphics, see how everything's grayed out? That means that those users can't change that unless they're very Revit savvy, or, you know, hey, I come in here and I set it to none, right? As long as your users are savvy. But when you want that kind of set and say, hey, I really want this has got all the things turned on and off that I want, that's where those view templates kind of come into play through the view creator. So to answer your question, Tina, so it's gonna be kind of difficult. I'm not sure if you're in the States, you're in Australia, where you're located, but the two authorized resellers that I know of are ATG USA and SolidCAD out of Canada. Those are the two that I know of. Tennessee, so it's going to be ATG USA. Absolutely, Tina. Thank you for the question. I'm glad we were able to help you out. So, sorry, I got distracted there. This is always a good thing, right? But that's why I keep my outlines here. All right. So I'm going to come over to the site view now. And I've got all my sheets ready. I've got all my views ready. Now I want to come in. I've got my consultants models. I want to go in and replace those placeholder models in here, right? So what I'm going to do is come over here and use my import and link manager tool. It shows me all the links and all the imports. It shows me Revit links versus CAD links. I'm going to drill it down just to the Revit links. And in here I have the three that we did in our template earlier, right? And notice they're all on the Arch Elements work set, so they're not even on the right work sets. So I'm going to come in here. I don't need this shell. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to come in here and reload or swap out and grab my structural model that I received from my consultant. And this takes a minute. And then I'm going to come in and tell it to change the work set so it's on the appropriate work set. Then I'm going to come in over to my mechanical and do the same thing. Now, I don't know why it is, but for some reason, the mechanical one takes a lot longer than the structural one. Maybe just because there's more information in there. Maybe it's just because it's calculating for heating and air. Not quite sure why the difference in the load times in between there. But at least I don't have to go in and load, unload, and then go try to swap out or try to figure out, is it on the right work set? I can do it all here in one dialog box. And then also too, as soon as this thing gets done and I switch it over to the work set, I can go ahead and pin these down so that they don't accidentally get moved. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to the appropriate work set. And then I'm going to go ahead and pin both of those down. So now I'm done with those. I have my consultants models in. I can go to the different views now and see those consultants models and slice through where they need to be. So having those there, having that there really, really helps me out. Thank you. Yes, they are, right? Definitely the families used in the MEP side of the world are definitely a lot more information. Absolutely. All right. So I've now got that project all set up. I'm ready to blow and go. And if I'm using Hive and I want to come out here back to my Hive here and I want to go wall style or just go wall, probably get a better search here. Okay. I think I know what's going on. It's looking for a versioning. That's why I'm having issues here. And so here's the different wall styles based on different Revit items I have. So if I need this particular wall style loaded, all I got to do is double click and it loads that wall style into my project and it upgraded it to the new version, at least for me to work in. And now I can start drawing those walls. And that way I can keep my template lean and mean by having my wall styles also on the Hive. As far as those go, I mean, those are, you know, once you get your project set up, you're kind of good. And I said, one of the things we were going to go over is the type swapper. So what the type swapper allows me to do is, you know, this is really more of a BIM manager tool, but that BIM manager tool allows me to come in and one, look and see in their duplicate families. If they are, what do I want to swap them to so they're on their appropriate family? And do I want to get rid of them so I can get rid of that junk out of my project? And then I can come in and check the dimension styles, and I see I have a few dimension styles that are not my company standards, right? Maybe it's something I got from a family that was loaded into the project. Who knows? We don't know where they came from, right? We just know they're not what we want. And it may be, hey, I actually put these in my template to bring this up, right? Well, let me get rid of them. And if you see something with a count right here, it tells me that that element has that object on there. So if I go to text, I do know I have some text that is on the wrong element. I have at least one element that's on the wrong thing, right? So I need to change it so that it's on the appropriate item, and then I can go ahead and swap that out. Now that that's swapped out, all these ones that say CTC, I can get rid of. And now it's cleaned those styles out of my project, and I don't have the stuff that somebody has brought in from God knows who, God knows where, right? And it helps me make sure that that item is lean and mean. So with that said, and I know you guys and gals have been asking questions. I'm going to open it up to questions at this point. So Chris, does it delete it? How does it delete it, or so? Okay, yeah. Chris, I guess I need a little bit more explanation of what you're asking. Yeah, so Tina, yes, the CTC tools currently work. I've got Revit 18 up to 2022, and they work on all those versions. Hive is kind of independent. It is not necessarily a particular version of software. I'm hoping that answered your question. So Chris, it deleted it from the project. It did not delete it from the template. So, and yes, Troy, you're absolutely right. It's like purging in AutoCAD. It's very similar to that. It just gives me a little bit more items to kind of work with. And thank you for that response on that, Troy. That's absolutely wonderful. I love it when we help each other out in this industry. Are there any more questions? Because I've got about 15 minutes till the hour, so I want to give this time to see if there's any more Q&A. And let's see here if I can. Let me grab those links real quick. So I'm hoping I understand your question. Your question, Chris, is if you want to replace something, yes, will it? Yes, you can do that, and it will replace it with that type. Absolutely. If there's an object in there. If there's no object in there, you're not replacing anything. You can get rid of it. So John asked, is the view creator available in all versions of Revit? Yes, John, it is. As long as you have that Revit installed, you install the CTC tools, it will install in those versions. I'm hoping that answered your questions. Walter, is there a file size limit per project file for the CTC Hive? I'll tell you, Walter, we have yet, myself, my team, the CTC team have yet to figure out what the Hive limit is as far as file size. There's no per project file size limit for Hive. We've got a lot of content on there. Matter of fact, I've gone out there and throughout the years of me doing Revit since 2004, I've placed a lot of my families out there on the Hive for me and my team to use. So I've not found a size limit yet. All right, Troy. Okay, so Troy, I see your question is I know many of us are still working remotely. I have issues using the CTC tools. Do you know if they have any workarounds? I do not, but it's not something that I couldn't get with my team members, because that's kind of probably a licensing thing I'm thinking you may be having issues with, because I am working remotely, but I think I have a standalone license versus a network license. So that may be one of the things that we just need to get with your sales rep, if you're with ATG, and see what we can do to get that workaround for you. Because I've seen some different chats come across our boards asking the same question that you just asked. And so if you want, Troy, just put your information in the chat, and we'll reach out and have somebody try to get you taken care of. All right. If you purge something you needed, can you retrieve it back, sort of like an undo? So unfortunately, once you purge it, just like you purge out a Revit, yeah, once you purge it, you can't get it back. The only way I know to get it back would be to use the, if it's a dimension style or text style, to use the transfer project standards to get it back from something that you've purged out. Or if you have it in your Hive template, you can bring it back in that way. That's the only way I know. I'm hoping that answered your question, Paulina. Or Pauline, I'm sorry, I tried to edit your name. I do apologize. So Chris, that's a great question. Nathan, I don't know if you know the answer to that or not. So Chris is asking, if I use 2019, 2020, 21, do I have to buy the tools for each version? I don't believe that's the case, Chris. Again, us being a reseller, it's a little difficult for me to say, Yeah, I have to, but I'm pretty sure it's just the one license. Right. Thank you, Nathan, for that. I couldn't. I thought it was a buy one and it installs on the others. So. And yes, it's very similar to the Autodesk. Current version plus 3 back or plus 4 back, whatever they've changed it to. I remember the current version plus 3 back. So I'm hoping that answered your question, Chris. No. You shouldn't have to buy 3 separate ones for the different versions. The only way you should have to buy software is the one per person, is Nathan put in the chat. It's not per version of Revit. Yes, thank you, Troy. You can definitely download them for. I totally forgot to mention that. Thank you so much. If you don't work for us, maybe you should. They're definitely 30 days. There are some free tools after the 30-day trial is over with. They are yours free for the lifetime of your computer. Matter of fact, one of those that I like to use is the renumber tool. I use the mess out of that thing, and it's a free tool. Why is it free? I don't know. But they also got a new free tool, which is the View Aligner, which I've really come to grow and love. And I'm surprised they made that a free tool. You're on the Autodesk site, or are you on this ATG site, Tina? Because the Autodesk site's going to only show 2022 as far as versions, but the CTC or ATG site should say that, yeah, it's going to be 2022, but it will install for the older versions and work on the older versions. I'm glad you asked the question, because you may have not been the only one that had that. So absolutely. Thank you so much, Tina. Yes, I like the View Aligner very much too, Troy. Absolutely. All right. I'm just going to pull this up. I'm still going to stay on the line and up until the top of the hour. If there are no more questions, you're welcome to leave. But before you leave, make sure you go to subscribe to us on social media. We are on LinkedIn, and we also have a YouTube page. So you got coworkers that couldn't attend this webinar today. This webinar will be placed out on YouTube. So, hey, maybe Dave went a little too fast as he was picking and clicking. And I've got the CTC tools trial and I want to go through what he did. Hey, I can go through YouTube and slow it down and see what Dave did.